I decided to explore drawing a cardioid in Maple Learn so that I can sort of see different shapes and patterns. If you're not familiar with a cardioid, you can read up about them on Wikipedia here. It's basically, you can imagine a curve being drawn as one circle is being rotated around another. So if you just track one point on that exterior circle, you'll see that it creates this cardioid shape. So what I did here in Maple Learn is I created one circle in the middle, which is stationary, and then this darker circle is the one that's going to be rotating around it. And by using these sliders, we can control different things. So the slider at the very bottom controls the motion of that outer circle around, so you can see it's drawing that cardioid shape. Because the inner circle and the outer circle, or the inner circle and the moving circle, are the same radius, the point happens to draw around on the outside, but it always lands at the same spot where it started. If we change the ratio between these two, so for instance, if I increase the radius of the second circle to twice that of the original, then you see now it's going to draw out a shape that comes back to the beginning, but it takes it 2 full revolutions before it ends up at the center point. Similarly, if I change this to be half of the other one, so for instance do it the other way, now you see that it comes back to the circle sort of halfway through and then draws another one. So you get these very interesting shapes, but where things get really interesting is where the ratios are not perfect. So for instance, if I just drag out some arbitrary values, so 1 for the inner circle and 3.28 for the outer circle, then we start getting these sort of loops that kind of come around, and we kind of see an interesting pattern. The other thing that I added here is the number of points that we draw along on this moving circle. So for example, let's move this back down to 0. Right now I'm only drawing 1 point being drawn as I move the circle. However, if I increase this to, let's say, 5, now as I draw out the circle, I'm actually drawing 5 points, the original one here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we get a lot more lines and a more interesting pattern shows up. And we can crank this up to 12 if we like, and we see we get like these flower type shapes coming up. And as we change the radiuses, we see interesting patterns coming up depending on what the ratios are between the inner radius and the outer radius of these two circles.